Hey guys, in this video I am gonna be showing you how to build Eula as a main DPS. I'll be going over her attacks and skills and show a side-by-side comparison of Eula's attack animations compared to other claymore users. I will also be recommending her artifacts, what stats that you should aim for to properly build Eula, and also weapon and team compositions that you need to destroy every enemy that crosses your path. First, I want to showcase her attack animation. On the next screen, I will showcase and compare Eula's normal attack animation and attack speed with the other claymore characters, and you can see for yourself the differences in her animations compared to her fellow claymore users. For Eula's elemental skill and burst, I am not gonna go too in depth about it. Her normal attack is basically 5 consecutive strikes, and as we see on the previous clip, her attack animation is quite different from the rest of the claymore users. Eula's elemental skill, Ice Tide Vortex, have 2 different functions. One is where you tap the skill, where you'll gain a stack of Grimheart that stacks up to 2 times. Grimheart will increase Eula's resistance to interruption and defense. The other attack is when you hold the skill. Eula will consume all of the Grimheart stacks and slash forward, dealing AoE cryo damage to opponents in front. When the Grimheart stacks are consumed, the enemy's hit will have the physical resistance and cryo resistance decreased. Also, the consumed stack of Grimheart will be converted into an Ice World brand that deals cryo damage to nearby opponents. Eula's Elemental Burst, Glacial Illumination, deals cryo damage to nearby opponents and create a Lightfall sword that will follow her around for a duration of up to 7 seconds. While the Lightfall sword is active, it increases Eula's resistance to getting interrupted. And when Eula's own normal attack, elemental skill, and elemental burst deal damage to enemies, they will charge the Lightfall sword, which can gain an energy stack once every 0.1 second. When the duration of Lightfall sword ends, it will explode and deal physical damage to nearby opponents. This damage will scale depending on the amount of energy stacks that the Lightfall sword gathers. A thing to note is that if you switch Eula off the field, the Lightfall sword will explode immediately. Eula's passive, Roiling Rhyme, correlates with her elemental skill. If you have 2 stacks of Grimheart and cast her holding elemental skill, a shattered Lightfall sword will be created that will explode, dealing 50% of the basic physical damage dealt by a Lightfall sword created by Glacial Illumination. Eula's other passive, Wellspring of Warlust, correlates with her elemental burst and her elemental skill. When Glacial Illumination is cast, the cooldown of Ice Tide Vortex is resetted, and Eula gains 1 stack of Grimheart. Here are Eula's Constellations. After looking over these, if you really want the best out of Eula, her C2 is probably the most impactful and will be game-changing. For Eula's artifacts recommendations, I suggest going for a 4-piece Pale Flame, as it is Eula's best in slot and have the highest ceiling. This set, however, requires C2 or a very precise rotation to compete with Constellations. If you have good rotation and uptime efficiency, definitely go for this set. Next up, the 2-piece Bloodstained 2-piece Pale Flame is also a good choice. If you have an insane Bloodstained artifact piece ready for Eula already, it may be better to use this set instead of wasting endless resins on a dungeon grind and farming for a godly Pale Flame piece instead. For stats, you should aim for crit rate on Hat, because Eula's substat is crit damage already, so you don't really need that much crit damage. I will go for crit rate. Physical damage on a Goblet, and depending on your needs, attack percent or energy recharge on a timepiece. If you have 40% energy recharge from substats alone, you can consider the attack percent on the timepiece. I would say overall, 140% energy recharge with a chiral battery for consistency. Above 155% is overkill and a waste, so keep your energy recharge around 140 for the best consistent output. For Eula's weapon recommendations, each of the 5 stars that are currently released are all viable on Eula. Just know that each varies differently depending on what your needs are, and all of our stats are different. For example, Wolf Gravestone has one of the best consistent damage. It lacks the energy recharge you need to get Eula's elemental burst up quick enough. On the other hand, Skyward Pride lacks the consistent damage output, but have the energy recharge you need to burst. The Song of Broken Pines is really good, but first of all, I want to cover the negative points about his weapon. The substats for physical damage is low, in my opinion. You can also accidentally trigger the passive by using normal and charge attacks, making you lose out on additional burst stacks. I would say this weapon needs a lot of good timings, and you just have to get used to Eula's rotation in order to maximize your DPS. This weapon also lacks energy recharge. However, don't be discouraged by this, because this is still the best weapon if you rolled it. But if you have either the Wolf Gravestone or Skyward's Pride, I wouldn't go specifically try to go for it because of the weapon RNG. Save that money and go for other characters, or buy yourself a good meal. Next, the Unforged is okay, but it requires Zonli or Tomb Shoulders to be able to put out consistent damage, and it also lacks energy recharge. Without shield up time, its damage can fall off real fast. Overall, of all the 5-star weapons, I would say Skyward Pride is probably the most flexible as it offers versatility and you will have more options for your build. You will be able to equip an attack percent timepiece rather than energy recharge as well because of the energy recharge substat of the Skyward Pride. For 4-star weapons, if you have the Serpent Spine, this weapon is viable on Eula. However, for free-to-play players, Prototype Archaic is also a good choice if you are planning to run Bennett on your team. The Sacrificial Greatsword is also a decent option that covers the energy recharge that you need, so you should definitely look into it if you lack energy recharge. The Black Cliff Slasher is also decent, but I wouldn't buy it from the shop solely for Eula. If you already have one, great, then you can use it if you want. Lastly, the Snow-Tuned Star Silver is actually a good fit for Eula. Physical damage substats will allow Eula to dish out consistent damage, but you will need sufficient energy recharge to cover her weakness. For Eula's team composition, the best team for Eula will be a physical comp, which consists of Eula, a Cryo Battery, a Superconduct proc character, and a filler. Something like Eula, Diona, Fischl, and a filler. Diona is the best Cryo Battery for Eula, and if you have a Sacrificial or Favernous Bow, it will perform even better. Rosaria is another Cryo Battery that you can consider if you have a Favernous Lance but no Sacrificial or Favernous Bow on Diona. Kaya could also work as Eula's Cryo Battery as well. Fischl is the next character that is a must-have in your Eula party. Her ability to apply Superconduct that give the enemy a -40 physical debuff for 12 seconds, and her impact off field is just extra damage. For the filler role, you can put Bennett for buffs, Zonli or any other shield characters for shields, or off-field damage characters like Albedo, Beidou, or Rosaria. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe. The next 1.6 update seems like there will be a decent amount of content for Genshin Impact. Therefore, I will make tons of new videos and I plan on starting to make more awesome content. Make sure to not miss out by subbing here. And I'll see you guys in another video.